morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, and welcome to NerdTube. And it's time to talk about the Dark Side of the Ring, Season 4, the season finale, Episode 10, the Marty Jennetty episode, The World According to Marty Jennetty. I think a lot of us were anticipating this episode, wanting to get all the juicy details. A lot of the juicy details we've kind of known, but we was hopefully being expanded upon. Um, this was obviously a juicy episode for sure, and I can't wait to talk about it. First of all, let me introduce you to everyone. Beneath me, I have Shredder lives on. How you doing?
Can't really complain. Nobody would listen. But what a way to end the series.
What?
Okay, guys,
Right, yep. I loved this episode, so can't wait to talk about it.
Jose.
All right, damn it, it is season 4, episode 10 of Dark Side of the Ring, the world according to that piece of crap I hired Marty Jennetty, and I can't believe we have to talk about him. I would rather talk about Gold Dust for 2 hours straight. What am I over?
And finally, Dixie.
Hello, how's it going? Oh,
Fine, fantastic. So, this was an episode a lot of us were anticipating, wanting to know all the dark and juicy gossip behind the scenes regarding Marty Jennetty. My God, this guy, in my opinion, is a walking fuck up in every aspect of the words, and somebody who, to a degree, is just bad luck personified. You know, he could on a couple of occasions, opportunities were given to him, and if anybody was going to fuck it up, it would be Marty Jennetty. Um, Before we start talking about this episode, from the direction I've been going on already, first of all, what did you think, Shredder?
Okay, this episode was a strange one. There was a lot of stuff in this that is just really unbelievable, or it's been distorted by Marty Jennetty because, let's face it, the guy appears to be a pathological liar and an utter fantasist. It just so happens that he's involved in professional wrestling. It's incredible to think at one point it was Marty Jennetty that was earmarked for stardom out of that team. They thought Marty Jennetty was the better worker, and Marty Jennetty was the guy who was eventually going to be the big babyface top draw. And lo and behold, he's a massive afterthought and a punchline in professional wrestling. You know, every tag team, you always hear about who's the Shawn Michaels, who's the Marty Jennetty. He's become a joke in the industry,
Yeah.
and you can see why.
Yeah, for sure. You know, there are other tag teams out there where one person is reasonably successful and the other person is not necessarily. But unfortunately, Marty Jannetty took it to the extreme where he fell off a fucking cliff while the other person went to the moon. Sorry, Shredder will be back. Here he comes. He's bringing back. So, guys, what did you think of this episode?
Well, I mean, I'm a huge Marty Jennetty fan because I think he's an underrated worker. I do think that a lot of people kind of spoke truth to power when they say he's his own worst enemy. Like, I mean, maybe Shredder can tell us like how many times this guy's been fired from WWE. I think someone said that he holds the record for being the most hired and the most fired wrestler in WWE history. I think so. It's something like 7 times. I think at this point.
I think it's 8.
Yeah, I think he and Sean both got like fired like off and on throughout like the
yeah.
early to mid 90s. Like I know Sean got fired.
Sean got
whatnot.
fired once.
He got fired once.
To my recollection, Sean got fired once. That was the first time that both he and Marty got fired.
Oh yeah, the cowboy boots story. Yeah, I remember that.
Well, no, it's Sean wrote about it in his book.
Yeah.
The way, it was told in this episode too, but it was slightly different to what Sean had recalled. But the way it was told in Shawn Michaels' book is that Sean and Marty had been encouraged by one of the agents at the WWF to go and mix with the boys in the bar because they'd just been new to the territory. Now, they had a reputation for partying, and during the course of the evening, Shawn Michaels broke a beer bottle over his own head. In this case, Marty tells it was a wine glass.
Mm.
And supposedly the bar got trashed. Michaels and Jannetty got blamed for it. Now, Michaels and Jannetty protested their innocence. Apparently, Vince McMahon didn't believe that they had been responsible for trashing the bar, but they both got fired for it. And I think it was a few months later that they both got brought back in. And that's when they had a run for about, I think, 5 years.
Yeah, I would say so. Because, yeah, even when they broke up, I think Marty, he was there until 96, I want to
Yeah,
say.
he was there a
Sounds
while.
about right.
Off and on.
Off and on
He
throughout
got,
96.
he got fired
Yeah.
a couple of times between then.
Okay. But yeah, off and on he was there until 96, because that I do remember. And then he went to WCW, which I know we'll get into.
He had a short
yeah.
stint in ECW. I think it was 90. Yeah, was it 95?
He went to ECW too, I know, in like 95,
Yeah,
96.
Yeah, he went to ECW briefly. He again, he was in the WWF off and on because he got fired and rehired multiple times, and he had a small stint in Memphis, and again he went to WCW. He holds the distinction for being fired multiple times in the same year.
That I believe.
But yeah, it was. To be honest with you, as I said, like if he could have just got out of his own way, he could have had a perfectly fine career. Because like numerous people have said how talented he is in the ring.
Oh yeah, he was. At one point, he was considered the better worker of the two.
Yeah, it was a good hand.
I mean, you talk about the guys that have been earmarked for stardom out of tag teams. Bret Hart was earmarked. Well, sorry. When the Hart Foundation were initially together, it was Neidhart who was marked for stardom, but Bret became the star. He was the better worker of the two. When
he was the pretty boy as well. He was getting lots of fan letters, and I heard and shit like that, and so he was always he's always destined for stardom.
Bret was appreciated as a talent internationally too, because I mean, people from Europe, they loved that style of wrestling. I was a big fan of that style of pro wrestling. And Bret Hart, he was the star of the team. You look at the Hardy Boys. Jeff Hardy was the one that was always marked for stardom, but lo and behold, Matt was actually the better worker of the two. Regardless of what we think of him now, you look at Matt Hardy in the early 2000s, he was without question the better worker of that team.
I think because Jeff Hardy was a spot monkey, and also once again he's a good-looking lad, and you can market that as well.
He had charisma too. So
he's that. The charismatic enigma is one of the most accurate titles you could give for somebody like Jeff Hardy, without a doubt. So, before we start to break out the episode, Jose, what do you think?
For an overall episode, I thought this was kind of but I don't know why it's like they chose to end with Marty. I would have personally ended with Bash at the Beach 2000. Because Bash at the Beach was fucking hilarious. I really enjoyed it. But for the Marty episode, I didn't think it was their best, but I didn't think it was their worst they've ever done either. It was just all right for what it was.
Yeah, fair enough. And Dixie?
I'm going to have to pretty much echo the Jose on this. I agree pretty much what he says right there.
Yeah, it was just okay. It wasn't really all that great.
But it also wasn't clown shoes either.
Yeah.
I was a little bit taken aback by it. Just straight off the bat, hearing Marty Jennetty live from the very beginning of the episode talking about mixing chemicals and stuff like that. At the same time, seeing his right leg just the way it was, totally swollen.
God, that ankle, dude. How the hell do you even? I don't know how the hell you even. Yeah, how do you function on that thing?
Yeah, I'm surprised his ass didn't have to have that shit amputated. What the hell?
Yeah, it looked really bad. So we see a lot of his early.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean that. But I've seen better outcomes from assholes stepping on landmines. What the fuck?
So we see a lot of his early life, and Shredder's back again. Having some connection issues, Shredder.
Yeah, I did listen to that. The one thing it made me think of was, when I saw the ankle, my thought immediately jumped to, I don't know if you guys remember Beyond the Mat.
Yes.
Yeah.
Funk is being told how bad his knee is. Now, the way Marty Jennetty is, I would not have believed his statement. Yeah, if I would not have believed that I could believe he was in pain from that ankle, but I would not have believed that he was on a scale of 12 when it came to pain, unless it was his doctor that said it. But I'm
Yeah,
not fucking
Yeah.
surprised.
I would venture to guess his pain would be more like probably about a 30 out of like 30, close to it. If it was
Well, yeah,
a
because they
real
said
scale.
his pain level was a 12 on a good day.
Yeah, it's got to be about 5 times worse than that, I would imagine.
And it's
Yeah, he
weird to
was-
think that that was all from rolling his ankle in 1996.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
And
yeah,
they show
that's it.
they
Yeah.
show the spot where it happens too. You can watch it on the fucking pay-per-view. It's
Yeah.
there. You can see it. It's very gruesome, but you can see it.
And he did wrestle on afterwards, because like 9 years later he had that rematch. Sorry, that get together with Sean. But I'll get to all of that a little bit later. So we do see his young life. He was a natural athlete, kind of a common thing for young wrestlers. He gets into the industry so in a way so he can stay out of trouble, and then he meets Shawn Michaels, and they have a natural chemistry as a tag team, and lo and behold, they're killing it, and they're working together really well. And through that, they also, because they're pretty boys and their faces, they're getting laid every fucking night. I mean, like, life must have been great for a while. They're young, they're good looking, they got women lining up for them all the time, they're partying all the fucking time. Probably life doesn't get any better than that, I guess, huh?
It was sex, drugs, and rock and roll. That was
Yeah,
the 1980s.
Their name initially was an amalgamation of two of the best teams of the decade, the Midnight Express and the Rock and Roll Express. Hence the Midnight
Yeah.
Rockers.
Yeah.
But man, for the
Nothing-
Rockers, for them to do what they do, they were so smooth and so crisp and so in sync. And you go back and you watch some of their stuff in AWA, it's like, man, holy hell, what a time!
Oh, they had tremendous chemistry.
Yeah, they did.
When I was watching wrestling as a kid, and I used to love the Rockers because they I can't think of another tag team that was like genuinely high flying like they were in the WWE. There was nobody, like their fist drops and stuff like that. It was awesome, and sort of the synchronization of how they did things together. It was beautiful, really good. It was really fun to watch, and yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed them as a tag team. And there wasn't really much like them back in the day in the WWE. People more ground and pound, smash mouth. Not many. Obviously, had your technical wrestlers too, but the high flyers, not you didn't see them that much back then.
And I'm
big bulky guys.
And I'm gonna give them this.
Yeah.
They actually are credited, well, along with like Bret Hart and Mr. Perfect and Owen. They are credited as the guys that got people noticing the wrestling matches, not necessarily like the Hogans and the Savage and the big beefy guys. They got noticed for their work rate, and they were the guys that got people like, oh, holy shit, okay, there's something more than just posing and the big sweaty man bumping meat, and you notice like Marty and Sean and the Hart Foundation going out there really having kick-ass matches. Yeah, the Bulldogs. Yeah, those were the guys that revolutionized like tag team wrestling and made people actually notice like work rate and stuff like that.
That's the WWF. Whereas if you look at other territories, again, the AWA had a decent tag team division.
Yeah.
Jim Crockett Promotions, they had a phenomenal tag team division. I mean, you had the Road Warriors, you had the Midnight Express, you had the Rock and Roll Express. They had some phenomenal teams back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. Go on.
I mean, because they're saying that it was the golden era of tag team wrestling, which it was.
Yep.
And it's kind of made me sad that we kind of got away from that now, because like there's no teams that have that sort of mystique anymore, which is kind of annoying. Oh.
Yep.
Yeah. For sure. Oh, sure they're gone again.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. I'll be back. So, one of the first things once they eventually got into the door of the WWE, they get fired within a week because
they fight too hard.
Yeah, because they
Yeah.
party too hard, you know.
The
And
PG, yeah, the PG version is they partied too hard. Vince saw Sean, like I guess in cowboy boots, and he's like, "Huh, nice boots. You know those boots are made for walking." And then, as Sean would say, he fired us, and that is
Yeah.
essentially the PG version of how you can tell that story.
Like I
Yeah.
said, though, Sean has told the version in his book. It
Yeah.
slightly varies from what was told in this episode of it,
Mm-hmm.
but they were fired like 2 weeks after that incident.
Yep.
So they were basically in for 2 weeks and then gone.
it's crazy though because Shawn Michaels, he is, you know, like him, Undertaker. I would probably say,
Lifers.
yeah, but cornerstones
Yeah.
as well. You know what I mean? They're like, obviously you got even not even Hulk Hogan is like, even though he hasn't got the sort of like family dynamic within the WWE like Hogan and sorry like Undertaker and Shawn Michaels has right now. And I think obviously with their relationship with Triple H plays a part as well. And they had a good relationship with Vince McMahon for most of their career. But it's incredible when you see early on with Shawn Michaels' career before he became so renowned, you know, what a dickhead he was and some of the stupid things that he did. And you know, they had him and Marty Jannetty had a very much a love-hate relationship. They mentioned earlier like they were always with each other all the time, and obviously they would end up getting pissed off with each other.
Mm-hmm.
But Michael's prior to them breaking up, he always had ambitions, and this is the thing. This is the problem with Marty Jannetty. Like he just wanted to be a rocker. You know, he lacked ambition. He really did. You know, like tag teams are renowned for breaking up, especially within the WWE. They can't wait to fucking break you up. You know,
Tag teams and factions are designed to make stars, and as we alluded to, you know, everybody thought that like Marty would be that guy, but clearly it was Shawn Michaels. He was destined to be Vince's boy. And
now,
Well, not only
before
that,
all of that happened,
Sean actually paid attention. You know, he studied his craft.
yeah,
now before all of that happened, this is something I had no idea. Like this move called the Rocker Dropper, where basically Marty Jannetty pretty much crippled somebody.
it's a turnaround. It's a turnaround
much later
famouser.
on.
Yeah.
This is later on down the line, but the Rocker Dropper broke the neck of Chad Austin.
Yeah.
And it wound up going to court. Chad Austin initially got a $24 million settlement. Well, he got a judgment for $24 million, and it was appealed. They got it down to $10 million, 500 grand of which Marty had to pay.
Yeah. And those things too, a lot of people don't know, like, y'all remember those old WWF rings, right? Those old WWF rings, Shredder knows the one. Shredder knows the ones I'm talking about. The ones that had no give and the ones that were stiffer than fuck. You could hear it on the canvas too. When he slammed his head, it's like, he just hit straight up plywood and all that shit up underneath that ring. Because those old WWF rings, up until Vince started taking bumps, used to be stiffer than shit.
Yeah, I would say probably
plywood and ouch.
Yeah,
I think end of Attitude Era and Ruthless. I think actually before that, Cheeto. I would say maybe like
there's some decent tag teams in the Attitude Era, like
they were, but like a real like massive group of them. Like I think maybe from like Wrestle. I know this sounds a bit weird for you guys, but I think maybe like from WrestleMania 8 onwards, to tell you the truth,
I could see that.
Started, you know, like people like Bret Hart was soloing. Now Shawn Michaels was soloing.
And then they went cartoony.
It's funny you mentioned WrestleMania 8 because that was supposed to be when the Rockers faced each other.
Yeah, it was Shawn and Marty for the Intercontinental title. That was supposed to be one.
No. The IC title wasn't even on the line because this was just after they had Shawn turn heel and throw Marty through the barbershop window.
And Marty got arrested. Didn't he? Because if I remember right, that was how he got fired one of those many, many times.
Yeah, that was his second firing. He was with a 19-year-old girl who had fake ID. He had possession of cocaine. I think he was placed under house arrest for 6 months, which is when they decided to fire him. And so instead of having Shawn versus Marty at WrestleMania, you had Shawn Michaels versus Tito Santana as El Matador.
Yep.
El Doormat.
Yes, Bobby Heenan called him.
Yep.
this is the funny thing because Shawn Michaels has spoken on many occasions about the amount of fucking drugs he was hoovering up back in the day.
Yep.
He did so much of it, and
How
you know,
he's
he was
not
no different.
how he's not
Yeah.
dead right now is still amazing to a lot of us.
Yeah.
It's like how he's still alive is absolutely insane.
Yeah, exactly. So, but all right. Okay. So, I kind of lost track where I was. A little bit.
So they left, and I think they went to the was it CWA? I think it was. They went
Well,
to
after they got fired.
Yeah, after they got fired from the WWF, I think is where you were going.
Yeah, so they got fired from the WWF. They went back onto independent scenes. There was one match they had which was kind of gory where they were bleeding and everything. And then obviously once again Vince McMahon saw that, thought, yeah, I'll take these guys back. And then they probably had their best run.
Yep.
I agree.
After that, and yeah,
one thing they
yeah.
missed, and I know it's not necessarily going to be related, they missed when the Rockers supposedly, quote unquote, won the WWF tag titles. Even though this is a Dark Side of the Ring episode, I still kind of wish they would have talked about that, like the infamous,
Yeah.
the rope broke, and they won the tag team titles.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the match was so fucking bad they decided they couldn't put it on TV.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I feel sorry for them because of that. There's actually another thing that wasn't brought up, and I'm going to bring up a lot later on in this episode, and I wish they did bring it up because it still makes me laugh to this day thinking about it. But okay, so I think we'll start talking about the breakup now, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I don't care what, before you start, I don't care what anyone says. Shawn Michaels did not shove Marty through that window. He is innocent, completely innocent in all of this. Marty Jannetty tried to dive through the window to escape. Let's just get that established right now. What a coward. What an act of cowardism.
I remember like on watching Superstars and Wrestling Challenge and shit like that. Like the sort of like, you know, like the synchronization wasn't necessarily there, and on several occasions, Shawn Michaels was getting really pissed off with Marty Jannetty. You felt, yeah. Unfortunately, you almost felt it was in the air, so to speak. You know, and
Well, that was part of the angle to break them up because they'd had a fight back. Well, they'd actually had a fight. Now, the way Marty has told it, and by the way, this friend of his, Karen, you know that
she did.
She claims to have witnessed so much of this, and
Yeah.
I don't think she fucking has, because
No, a lot of it is just hearsay and propaganda, I think.
Exactly.
Yeah,
she says
fabricated.
that all that you know, Shawn fucking shoved Marty through a hotel window, which I don't think is true. From what I've heard from other wrestlers in the business, they had a fight in the locker room. It was witnessed by a couple of guys, Shane Douglas, Kurt Hennig. They both witnessed it. There's another incident where there was apparently a fight in a hotel lobby where Randy Savage had to get the fucking cops to leave them. He convinced the cops that they were working an angle.
Yeah.
And this apparently was what led to them deciding, okay, well, we're going to break up the team. And the idea was that, you know, Shawn was okay with it because, you know, he'd had enough running with Marty. He wanted to break out as a single star.
And Marty was like, "No, dude, we got to keep everything together."
I just want to quickly, I want to quickly go back a step. That moment in court, by the way, when Marty Jannetty had to pay the fee, and Shawn Michaels was acquitted. You know, it was like you could tell from Marty Jannetty that Shawn Michaels always seemed to get away with shit.
Oh, what a fucking cheesy reenactment!
No,
and the fact is, like, Shawn had nothing to do with the guy being paralyzed. That's why he got off with it.
Yeah, Shawn was outside the entire time. He was on the apron.
Yeah, Shawn Michaels had nothing to do, but I just, it almost looked funny because in the reenactment, it almost looked like Shawn Michaels went past Marty Jannetty and went.
Well, I mean,
but the fact is, I mean, it was a simple case of, you know, Marty blames Shawn for everything bad that's happened to him.
Oh,
and
yeah,
it's not fucking true. I mean, there's other things they could have brought up in this episode, like the fact that, I mean, Dutch Mantel, for example, has told the story about, you know, Marty Jannetty used to fucking randomly H-bomb people.
Yeah,
Complete
Marty,
strangers.
Yeah, Marty would do
And
the weirdest shit.
Yeah, and again, they showed what you did in the independent scene, riding a fucking motorcycle in India into a 5-star
Yeah.
hotel.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
when you make Shawn Michaels of that period, the guy who was out of his face on fucking pills, look the sane one, you are fucking up royally.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
here's the thing of the episode we ain't mentioned yet. It's everyone else's fault, y'all. Y'all notice that Marty is never
yeah.
at fault. It's everybody else's fault. God is at fault
Oh,
for what Marty did
what
today.
was it he called? What was it he called
Yeah.
himself? Gat,
God-
God's
yeah.
amusement toy.
Yep. Yeah, God, it's all your fault that I rolled my ankle. Well, I don't know about that. As what's his face? What's that one dude? The dude of that one fucking tag team in WCW. I'm trying to remember his name. He was in the episode. Damage
Oh, yeah.
Control or Authority.
Moran,
Yeah,
something.
he-
Mike Moran. or
Yeah,
something.
Mike Moran. Mike Moran.
Mark
Yeah, he
Moran,
was like, he was like, yeah, it's according to him, it's everybody else's fault. Like Marty never fucking takes accountability.
Well, I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, like the rocket dropper is kind of on the other guy to take. Not oh, bloody hell, because it's basically like the Fameasser where the other guy is kind of in control of his bump because he's supposed to land, like and try and basically land on his face, basically
Yeah.
himself. And what the guy did was instead of doing that, he basically jumped up and basically.
He prematurely jumped and went full force with his head
Yeah,
on his frontal lobe. Yeah.
I would say
Mike
that, like,
himself.
the guy,
That is
yeah,
never going to go
the
good
guy
for
who
you.
took the bump, did a poor job in taking
Yeah.
the bump.
Hey, look, he fucked up, but again, Marty, it's his responsibility, if he's going to pull off a move like that, to make sure that the guy actually knows how to take it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, quick comment here, by the way. So many nerds in one stream. It's like a virgin convention in here. We are born again virgins, without a doubt. So
Speak
all right,
for
so-
yourself. I'm married, motherfucker.
yeah, I know.
And the amount of prostitutes.
exactly.
With.
You're married, so enough said. So anyway, the point, getting back to the actual breakup now. Sean and Marty, they're not really compatible. The funny thing is though, that even though they're fighting all the time, Marty wants to remain as a tag team. It's all he knows. He's happy with it. Sean obviously wants to go into bigger things, and then finally the breakup happens. And I was wondering why Brutus Beefcake was on this, and then I realized
Just
why.
as a talking head for that subject.
just-
Yeah.
But just because of the
Well,
fact
'cause
he was there for the fucking barbershop segment. I mean,
Yeah.
what else did he contribute to this episode?
Yeah.
And his
Yeah,
wife was there.
exactly.
What the fuck was he doing there?
Yeah. It was no need just to
I-
have him as a talking head. Just for that
Exactly.
piece. It was like,
I
all
mean,
right.
yeah, I
here
mean,
it is.
he was the third party of one of the most famous famous promo segments in WWE history,
Yeah.
without a doubt. Do you know what I mean? So, nevertheless, like Sean comes dressed up like looking like fucking a member of the bloody village people in that fucking black outfit, like the biker.
I mean,
You know,
it
like,
was
he-
the
he-
80s.
It was
no
the
doubt,
80s. It was
but-
the early
No, sorry,
90s.
no,
yeah.
it was the early 90s, yeah.
Yeah.
But the point is that he is healing up big time. I mean, they're not dressed. They're not. There's no coordination in their clothing whatsoever. He's looking like a bad guy. Fucking Marty Jennetty. Looks like he's about to go on a workout. And then they hug. It looks like everything's hunky dory. Super kicks in the face. Apparently, he connects.
Yeah, he hit him.
Yeah,
He hit him with a
he
kick
knocked
for
Oh,
him
real.
he hit
No,
full
I-
force.
Yeah, he kicked him for real. He actually kicked Marty. Like usually
then-
when you
Yeah.
gimmick the super kick, you're supposed to slap your thigh, and Sean did that, but he really did kick Marty. It's so hard that Marty didn't even feel the glass when he went through
Well,
it.
yeah. I mean, he did tap. I noticed that prior to the kick, he tapped Marty Jennetty on the stomach, saying, "Okay, I think that was like an indication that he's about to do a move
Yeah, here it
on
comes.
him." Yeah, and then famously throws him into the window. I'm not sure if
Through the window.
through the window. And when he did that, I'm not sure if that actually made Marty Jennetty bleed or he bladed.
That I
No, I
don't
think
think
he
that was
bled.
sugar glass.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that was sugar glass.
No.
No, that was sugar glass, but it's but I think Marty did actually blade for that.
Yeah, he did. Marty bladed himself because when they cut away with the camera, you could see like when Sean was posing, that was when Marty was bleeding.
Nice little pun there by Wrestling Lowdown show.
Yeah, good
Alco
talking
was a
head.
good talking head. Yeah, very
Yeah,
funny.
he was.
Yeah,
They should have had
and
fucking
this
Head
was
on instead of Brutus Beefcake.
Yeah, head would have been a more enjoyable talking head. Pun intended.
and this was the beginning this was the end of the Rockers, you know, and yeah, Shawn Michaels after that was definitely destined for bigger things, and you know, and this was a fuck you to Marty Jannetty. But regardless of that humiliation, it wasn't that ruined him. You know, that moment. It was just that moment was the split up of the Rockers. He still had a job within the WWE, and then, like I said, there are tag teams who do split up. I mean, for me, the most famous one where both wrestlers did pretty well for themselves is Edge and Christian. I mean, Christian never really was the same level as Edge, but he's not like the guy never had a career.
Yeah, he
You
went
know
on
what I
to win the
mean?
world title a few times. So yeah, Christian did some
He's,
shit.
you
I
know,
like
and
to throw in
you
the
could,
Road Warriors if possible.
you know, I mean, there's some tag teams. I mean, there's some tag teams that are always known for tag teams. I mean, the other one is probably Bubba Ray and Devon. Like
Devon.
that, Bully Ray achieved a lot, but he couldn't wait to get back with Devon again because he already proved that he could be a singles wrestler. He said that himself in a shoot interview that Ray did. You know, and obviously there's the Blade Runners with Sting and Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah.
Uh,
You know what I mean? So
Oh, that
you
legendary
know.
team.
No, but
Yeah.
even Night Heart, Bret Hart, like Night Heart did had an okay career, you know, like it wasn't like you know, he didn't have a career, like he did all right, you know, for himself.
He
He was
did
still
all
part
right
of the
until he
Hart family,
fucked up on drugs.
Yeah.
which is exactly. So, but Marty Jannetty's in the whole is in the whole new ballgame. Even Santana and Rick Martel. You know, I love Rick Martel, by the way. He's one of my favorite heels of all time.
That
I love
bastard.
the model gimmick is just fantastic.
That
You know,
bastard. That bastard. I still hate him for what he did to Tito Santana.
yeah, and him and Tito, you know, like Tito Santana had a decent career as well. Anyway, going on too many tangents here. So
But yeah, the breakup of
after
the Rockers
this,
again. Marty was fired. You know, because again, I've already
Got
mentioned,
arrested. Yep.
he got arrested. He was with a girl who was 19, had fake ID, and also again he was caught with possession of cocaine, which led to a 6-month house arrest, and the result was he was fired.
Look, don't get me wrong. Yeah, I mean, being with a 19-year-old girl is not right for somebody of his age. He must have been in his early 30s, maybe
Well, I think
late 20s.
I mean, in certain states, isn't age of consent like 21?
No, that's adult. That's about being an adult, but age of consent is usually younger than that.
Age of
No,
consent.
I mean, in the United States, I mean, it varies from state to state, doesn't it? I mean, isn't age of consent in
Yeah, it does,
some
it
states
does.
like
It does.
2021?
It does. Yeah, it varies. I don't know about today, but back then, yeah, it certainly
Yeah,
did.
fucking child marriage in certain states of America. They still do now.
Yeah,
You know
it's
what I mean?
crazy. Yeah.
You know, so I don't know, but you know, I mean, don't get me wrong, like it's not a good idea to bang, you know, if you're an adult to bang a teenager, but if
Yep.
the age of consent is there, then at the same time for him to be fired over that is a bit ridiculous, you know. So
I think it's
I
more
don't
the
know.
coke. really,
Again, it was the cocaine and the fact he was in like a 6-month house arrest. So 6-month house arrest, he can't fucking travel
Yeah,
to any
yeah.
Yeah,
states.
there's no way he can work.
Th-
Yeah.
those are the reasons why you get fired. You know what I mean? So totally agree with you there. But yeah, he just seemed to be like a glorified fuck up. You know, like he would come back. Obviously, him being the counter to Shawn Michaels was one of the reasons why he came back. But he just wasn't getting.
And another thing they glossed over, him winning the Intercontinental title from Shawn Michaels in the match of the year in '93.
Well,
They
before
completely
that,
missed
though,
over that.
they had a shitty match, which caused he was hired and then fired.
Yeah.
So
Age of consent 18 when he's been alive. Okay,
so,
fair enough.
Because it was early '92 that he was fired. Hang on, was it? No, '92 was when the Rockers broke up, wasn't it?
Yes. No,
Right,
91.
so-
91.
91. Okay, so it was
Yeah.
it was early '92 that Jannetty was fired for cocaine. It was, I think, late '92 that they brought him back,
Yes.
and he confronted Shawn Michaels on Raw. They had the match at the Royal Rumble, which was an absolute stinker. The allegation was that Jannetty was either drunk or he was on substances.
Or both.
Yeah, one of the other or both, and he was basically fired after
Yep.
that. They said, "Well, we can't depend on you, so you're fired." So he missed WrestleMania again, where again he was supposed to face Shawn Michaels. So what was
Yeah.
it? Who did Michaels get put in with WrestleMania 10? Was it
Tatanka.
Yeah. So
And then
Michaels went.
and then Marty came back. I remember May
Yeah,
of
that's
'93. Yeah.
when Marty came back. Suppose 'cause he got rehired. He confronted Shawn Michaels again on Raw,
Yep.
and they had the match of the year '93 where he beat Shawn Michaels for the Intercontinental belt. And then
How long did he
lost it.
hold that? How long did he hold it? Not long, I would imagine.
It wasn't long. I mean,
Like a
I
week or
think
two?
and he lost it like a live event.
Okay, so it wasn't that long because it was like I think he held it for like 2 weeks and then he dropped it because it wasn't that long.
He didn't even drop it on TV.
No. Mm-mm.
Well, things for Michael, for Marty Jannetty started to spiral out of control. So much so that when he had another opportunity back in the WWE, he was with Al Snow, and they made the New Rockers. Now I have to say, Al Snow and and Marty Jannetty's demeanors were all over the place because Marty Jannetty looked like he didn't want to be there.
Nope.
And Al Snow like
Well,
all smiling and going like
They
this
had
and
they
shit
had
like
tried they had tried Marty in tag teams before. They paired him up with Al Snow, because if you remember, he won the tag titles with the 1-2-3 Kid.
Yep.
He missed WrestleMania 10 because of the Chad Austin lawsuit, so they
Mhm.
kept him off the show. So yeah, that was 3 straight WrestleManias that Marty Jannetty had missed. He must be fucking kicking himself at missing those payoffs.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, for
so
sure.
Marty
But
won
how much
Damn.
does a
And
wrestler
then,
earn on the WrestleMania payoff?
for WrestleMania payday.
Yeah.
Depending on where you are on the card, I don't know if it's still true today, but the champion is making like I think around six figures or so, and for the mid carders, you're making about 300,000-400,000 for your WrestleMania payday. I don't know if it
Wow.
still stands true today, but back then you were making pretty good money for your WrestleMania because your WrestleMania payday was basically your salary for the entire year. That was how you got paid.
Oh wow.
So
Okay, fair
what
enough.
was it? Jannetty came back. I think Jannetty came back. So '94, he misses WrestleMania. They come back. They pair him up actually briefly with Razor Ramon.
And
Was he a
he
face by then?
had Goldust's debut match too. Yes, he did at one of the first In Your Houses, because that's also what I remember about Marty. In '95.
Yeah, '95, because '95. So he dropped out. I think it was '94. He dropped out the scene because he was fired just before WrestleMania 10.
Yep. Okay, so he went to ECW in '95. Yep.
And then he comes back to the WWF '95, and he gets paired with Razor Ramon.
Yep.
And yeah, he had Goldust's first match.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it seems that he was always destined to be a tag team wrestler,
And then then they
just
paired him
like
up with Al Snow in '96, and
that.
the tag division in '96 was not good.
Fucking abysmal.
Well,
You knew
yeah, but
you knew you fucked up when you had the Godwins versus the Body Donnas
Yeah.
as one of your featured programs. It was like, oh god, because I remember that.
man, like, but like this, like he's part of that contingent of tag team wrestlers where one of the original members stays in the tag team, and then they get a new tag team to make a new version of the old tag team. Like
I mean, it has worked in
Owen.
the past. Midnight Express.
I was thinking people like Owen Hart and Neidhart. What were they called? I forgot.
Hart Foundation.
Oh, was it the new? No, it was the
No,
new
no,
foundation.
Owen
The
Hart.
new foundation.
Yeah, new foundation.
Yeah, God, they that didn't work for me. Yeah, Heidenreich and fucking and
Road
Animal.
Warrior Animal. Yeah.
Actually, he had Ahmed Johnson, I think, at one point, and in the Legion of Doom, didn't you?
No, they did that for
No,
a street fight at
He
WrestleMania 13.
He teamed with them in 1997.
7 for a Chicago street
Yeah.
fight at WrestleMania 13,
And
where they
he had
brought
the
a kitchen
baton-
sink to the ring.
Yeah, the baton pass with Crush and Axe, when Crush took over from Axe and to
I
team
mean,
up with Smash.
Right, just to give everybody, a clue of like how shit the tag team division was in 1996. Okay, so the Smoking Guns had to vacate the belts in '96 because Billy Gunn had suffered a neck injury, and they held a tournament to crown new champions. This is the bracket:
Oh
the
God.
Body Donnas versus the Bushwhackers,
Oh dear.
Mm.
the
Oh my
1, 2,
God.
3 Kid and Tatanka versus Razor Ramon and Savio Vega,
Oh wow.
Owen Hart and the British Bulldog against Hakushi and Barry Horowitz.
Okay, I'll give
Oh my
Owen and Bulldog this. At least they
Barry
were a good
Horowitz.
tag team, so
Yeah,
that's at least
Oh,
the
yeah,
one
yeah.
highlight out of
And,
this bracket.
the new Rockers of Marty Jannetty and Leaf Cassidy against the Godwins.
Yeah, their
Leaf
tag team
Cassidy.
division was beyond busted up.
Yeah.
I mean, your final match of this tournament was the fucking Body Donnas beating the Godwins for the tag belts.
Oof.
Yeah, fascinating.
That's how shit the tag team division was in 1996.
Yep.
Anyways, so we see Marty Jannetty then jumping to WCW. His career doesn't work too well over there either. I
They
think
had a
more
pretty decent
fuck-ups.
run in WCW.
Really?
No, not really. I mean,
It
his
was-
matches were nothing special.
He was the Thunder guy, and as you know, Shredder would know and other people would know, you didn't want to be on WCW Thunder. Let's just
Yeah.
put it that way. Yeah, Thunder was the kiss of death. You did not want to go to WCW Thunder.
Well, he kind of like went further downhill. So much so they ended up on the mid cards. So not mid cards, on the indies, and that didn't work out too well for him. And then he
Yeah, I
just
mean, he
disappeared.
wasn't in WCW long. I mean, he was there till
98, 99. Yeah.
yeah, something like that.
Okay,
And
so
then, and this should have been his moment of redemption, and everything turns around for him, and because he's rock bottom now, and the only way is up, and he's got this opportunity. You know, Shawn Michaels, who is at the top of his game right now. You know, like the guy
when he
is.
was born again.
yep. And I'm about to call bullshit, but go ahead, because there's a part
Well-
about Marty. There's a part about Marty's contract that I'm going to call bullshit on. If
I just
anyone
wanna say
wants
that
to bring it up.
Oh yeah,
First
I know what you're talking about.
Yep.
At this particular point, like at this particular point, in Shawn Michaels' career, he's one of the most powerfulest men in the WWE, without a doubt. You know what I mean? He's a shot caller and all of that sort of stuff. He has a lot of clout, and Vince McMahon relies on him very heavily, you know, for like top tier matches. He you know, his comeback has been very successful, all of that, you know, and he's born again Christian, fair enough, and he reaches out to Marty Jannetty, and probably Marty Jannetty must have thought, "Fuck me, man, this is the greatest thing that's ever happened to me," you know. And Shawn Michaels reaching out to me, and Shawn Michaels brings him into the fold, baptizes him, and everything. Brings him back. They have a match on Raw where they roll back the years, and you can see the synchronization is there, and he's used for some storylines. But this is the part where I want to bring up now, where they did not mention on this, and that was Marty Jannetty being asked to join the Kiss My Ass Club for Vince McMahon.
You're
I
fast
know
forwarding.
Here's
You're
the thing,
fast forwarding.
You're
You're fast forwarding a
jumping
little
ahead.
bit. Yeah, you're going
I
about
am
a year ahead. But okay, I got to call bullshit. I got to stop you. Marty said his contract was going to be worth $1 million. I call bullshit. There is no way that Marty Jannetty was getting signed for $1 million. I'm sorry. As good as he was, hell no. That was not happening.
I mean, right here's the thing. I'm not entirely sure I believe the thing about Marty was going to kill himself and then he miraculously got a call from Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, I'm not
I can
believing
believe
that.
I can believe he was depressed and at rock bottom. I can believe he maybe had suicidal thought. I do
was
not
throwing
believe for a
darts.
moment.
He was throwing
Yeah,
darts.
he was
at
throwing
Shawn.
darts at pictures of Shawn because he was jealous of how successful he was, and you know
He had
Marty
a shirt on.
amount
He had a
fuck
shirt
all.
with fucking Shawn. Had a shirt with Shawn Michaels on it with a line going through it, man. Like, you know, like, oh my god.
But
Yeah.
again, right. So Jannetty, it must have been about 2002, 2003 that Shawn reached out and baptized him, because that's I think around about the same time Shawn Michaels actually had his conversion, because I know he was doing a couple of shows
Yes.
here and there. Sting was involved in at least one of them. Ted DiBiase was involved. They actually were doing an angle in these Christian shows, believe it or not, where Ted DiBiase was trying to buy Sting's soul.
And fun fact, I think that was actually one of Sean's first real return matches that he actually came back for around that time. Before the stuff with Triple H, Sean was making his comeback on that circuit. That's what a lot of people don't know.
There was an evangelical circuits where Sting, I know, was getting born again as well.
Yeah.
Where, again, there were a number of guys who were appearing on there. Buff Bagwell was another one of them. Greg Valentine, they were appearing on these shows.
I'm not sure if it's still up, but you can find an interview where Sting interviews Shawn Michaels about his faith and stuff like that. It's actually pretty interesting. It was up on YouTube years ago.
Yeah, Undertaker's born again as well.
I don't know if Undertaker's born again, but I know Sting, he was doing some part-time hosting on an evangelical religious channel. He interviewed Shawn Michaels, he interviewed Lex Luger, and he interviewed Vince Russo.
It's just that his interactions with Michelle McCall, he kind of felt like he was born again a little bit. I mean, you heard him on his Hall of Fame speech. You know, he seemed very more religious than I realized he was. You know, and I give them credit that they're able to separate it. But some religious people are so lost in their own in their minds that they are not able to separate a wrestling gimmick from reality. But at least they were able to. They know that he's playing this sort of dark demonic character, but that's not who he truly is. It's just a gimmick,
right?
And at least I give them credit for that, because some people are not capable of doing. Yeah.
Going back to Marty though, the 2005 return, he had literally 2 matches on television before he was fired again.
Yep. Can you guys guess? Can you guys guess who the second match was against? I bet nobody on this panel knows besides Shredder and I. Take a wild guess.
Now I'll give you a hint. It was to build up a WrestleMania match.
Yep.
Was it Big Boss Man?
Nope.
No,
dude, you're way off.
It was for Shawn Michaels' WrestleMania match. Shawn Michaels has never faced Boss Man at WrestleMania.
Yep.
So what year was it? 2000 what?
2005.
Jericho?
So
nope.
2004. Well, 2003 is when he worked with Jericho. 2004 is when Michaels worked with Triple H and Chris Benoit. Who did he work with in 2005? And it's criminal that this match didn't get fucking 5 stars from the Observer.
Yes.
Ric Flair?
No.
Okay, you guys give up?
Yep.
Kurt Angle.
Yeah.
Kurt Angle.
Really?
Kurt Angle. Yep.
It's where Kurt Angle. It's where Kurt Angle also on the same episode of SmackDown did his parody of Shawn Michaels' theme music.
And that never gets old. That never gets old. It's still funny as hell. Like 18 years later, I still. Yep.
And the fact that Sherry came back for it too. That's what sells it, I think.
Yep.
I can separate Undertaker with Page. Of course not, dude. I mean,
but so he had 2 matches. He was offered a contract, but he was arrested. Couldn't make the commitments, so WWE fired him.
And then you can bring up the Kiss My Ass Club thing, because
2006.
Yeah, you can bring that up.
No, but prior to that, didn't Kurt Angle wrestle Marty Jannetty
on SmackDown?
That was Marty Jannetty's second match on TV in 2005 before he was fired again.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, sorry. So then obviously they have the Kiss My Ass thing, which was one of the most stupidest things Vince McMahon's ever fucking done. I mean,
the whole feud with Shawn Michaels was so fucking stupid. The whole feud was so stupid.
They were building it to where they were actually building it for a return of the Rockers.
Yep.
It was going to be the Rockers feuding against the McMahons.
Yep.
Yeah, and like I just if you watch that segment on YouTube, like Marty Jannetty can't contain himself because
he corpse. He literally corpse on TV.
He's laughing his ass. He's like within himself. He's laughing so much because it's such a stupid scene. Like, the boss of the company, he's working for the chairman, has got his ass out in the middle of the fucking.
And Marty is literally just corpsing like Sam is doing right now. Like that's just how bad it was. And then kiss my ass, damn it.
Yeah, but for anyone who's not familiar with that segment, again, here's the thing though. Obviously Marty refused to join the Kiss My Ass Club, so instead the stipulation was, you'll get a contract if you can break the master lock.
Yep.
and Marty looked like he was going to do it, and then gets kicked in the balls by Vince McMahon.
Yep.
They start beating him down until Shawn Michaels makes the save. And again, it looked like they were building a Rockers reunion to take on the McMahons.
And then,
Marty fucking
again,
no-showed the next week.
Yep. Again, Marty no-showed because he got arrested again. And that led to Marty getting fired for, I think, the third or like the umpteenth.
And I mean, WWE put up an announcement on their website that they basically severed all
ties
with him. So he was fucking done.
Yep.
And then later that same year, they brought him back. He was one of 3 people they hired to work, to help work with the younger talent. There was him, Rodney Mack, and Brad Armstrong. Now, Rodney Mack wound up being released in 2007. Brad Armstrong stayed there as a producer until he died in 2012. And Marty Jennetty was fired in 2 weeks.
Yep. Oh, Lord. Yeah, because let's see. According to the Wrestling Observer newsletter, Jennetty got released again supposedly on the 29th, but then as of Christmas Eve of 2006, that was it. And then the one other time that I'm surprised they didn't fucking mention, or 2 other times rather, Jennetty came back to wrestle Mr. Kennedy. And what was funny as hell, this is for like TNA fans, TNA had a pay-per-view where Scott Hall was advertised to wrestle in a 6-man tag match, and Scott Hall no-showed. So the next night they bring out like parodies of Razor Ramon and a couple other guys that Shawn Michaels like feuded with, and Kennedy openly goes, "I'm glad you could make it, Scott." And I thought that was some of the funniest fucking things.
I thought after they brought out the fake Kevin Nash, they're going to bring out fucking Rick Bachner.
Yeah, I thought that too.
I thought they were going to dig out Rick Bachner for that segment.
Yep. But then Kennedy goes, "Yeah, I'm glad you could make it." And I just laughed my ass off. I'm like, oh, damn.
There's some serious shade.
Yeah. But yeah, okay. So what happened was that all these imposters like end up getting super kicked by Shawn Michaels. And then on the 15th anniversary of Raw, Shawn and Jennetty appear in an interview together, and Jennetty got his ass kicked by Mr. Kennedy. And then the very last time that we see Marty in 2009 was he jobbed out to the Miz. Yep. And I think it was a contract on a pole match or some such shit like that, if I remember right. But I don't know. I could be wrong about that.
No, I don't think that one was. The only contract on a pole match I can think of involving the Miz was against Eugene.
Oh, yeah, that's the one. Okay, yep. But yeah, the very last time we ever saw Marty was in 2009 jobbing against Miz.
So yeah, that was.
I think I remember that.
That was his final time with WWE.
Yep.
Because they really tried to make him look like a rocker as well, all these stupid bits dangling off his arms and stuff like that.
Well, no, I think that's Marty because he did that on the independent circuit as well. I mean, he's one of those guys who just could not let go of the gimmick.
Yeah.
There's plenty of guys, who, they do a gimmick, at one point in the 90s or the 80s or whatever, and they update it. They modernize. Yep. Randy Savage didn't go around wearing the capes forever, did he?
Nope.
No, even Hogan modernized his look and stuff like that. I'll say this, it's amazing how many opportunities Marty Jennetty had and how many times he fucked it up, and Vince was right. This guy's got a cloud over his head. And I would love to know what Shawn Michaels is thinking right now, because he reached out. He didn't need to do what he did. He didn't need to reach out to Marty Jennetty whatsoever. The guy's career was total. You never had to do another Rockers reunion or anything. That was only beneficial to Marty Jennetty, not to Shawn Michaels. And he did all of that. And
it depends. I think Shawn maybe reached out basically on a personal level, because obviously Shawn Michaels was born again, so he wanted to.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
He wanted to make amends. Yeah.
Past that, I want to make amends to the people I've wronged.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm saying all of that, but he didn't have to.
Yeah, he didn't have to do that, but yeah.
He didn't have to. I mean, there's a lot of people he didn't reach out to.
Yeah. Like Bam Bam Bigelow, for example.
Yeah, and as Jim Cornette has pointed out, it's amazing that the people, who nobody wants to speak to in this mortal plane suddenly find God.
Yep, and when you find God, that's when you know something's wrong with you, or whatever the fuck it was that Jim Cornette said. Or when you find God, it's because there's nobody else that'll speak to you.
Wants to talk to you.
Yep.
Look, yeah, and I can totally understand. I mean, Jim Cornette's an atheist as well, so I can totally understand him saying something like that. But nevertheless, um, you know, he reached out to him. He opportunity after opportunity this guy's been given. You know, he was very lucky that in a way that he was renowned, um, for being this particular person who was associated with Shawn Michaels, part of the Rockers, all of that. People were always wanting to know more about him because of that. He's a bit of an enigma, and he just kept fucking it up, fucking it up, fucking it up. And some of those things, like when you saw him doing what he did in India, you think to yourself, this guy's never gonna fucking learn, is he?
I don't think.
So. Yeah.
Yeah, Marty never grew up past like a certain age because some people mentally never do. There's some people that mentally never grow up, and I think Marty's one of those people.
How they are.
Yeah, I
I
don't know
love
if you can
Disney
blame it
Sheep
on the substance abuse. I don't know if he's just got something wrong with him mentally. But
Yeah.
he's a massive fuck up.
Yeah. Marty is up there with like the all time, like he's easily top 3 fuck ups of like all time in the entire business.
People thought
I mean,
Jannetty was going to show up during HBK and the.
I
Judge
remember
match.
that. Yeah, people were thinking,
Yeah, that
Jannetty
was
was going to
rumored.
show up. Yeah, that was rumored.
Dante is my god for 1 week of the year. 3 weeks.
Yeah,
3 weeks of the year. To tell you
Was
the truth.
it the I'm trying to think. Was it the 06 run where he no-showed after like 1 week that basically wound up causing the reunion of DX instead?
Yep. Yeah, because that was supposed to be DX versus the McMahons for that entire
Well, it was supposed to be
summer.
the Rockers versus. It was supposed to be
It was supposed to be the Rockers versus McMahons. And Triple H, if I remember right, was supposed to stay in the WWE title picture that year. He was not, because he was like, I'm not ready to reform DX right now. But eventually it just got to the point where I think they threw their hands up and said, fuck it. We'll just have to make it work. And that's what they did as best they could.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then they completely.
Again, they talk about Marty getting jealous, and they show Shawn Michaels main eventing WrestleMania 14. Well, yeah, again, that's on you, Marty.
Yeah, you had the chance,
you missed
dude.
3 straight WrestleManias because you were a massive fuck up. You could have been, wrestling Shawn Michaels in all 3 of them.
And here's my take: Marty would have made one of the greatest Intercontinental Champions of all time. I truly do believe that. Like Marty would have been one of those dudes when the IC title was a workhorse title. He would have went out there and had kick-ass matches. I think.
It depends if his head was on straight or not.
If he was on straight, if he would have stayed clean, Marty would have been one of the best champions. I think we would be talking about to this day as far as Intercontinental champions go.
Well, and here's the thing. I mean, because he couldn't get past the Rocker gimmick, because he couldn't, let it go and maybe, reform. I mean, Rick Martel was able to let go of the model gimmick when he went to WCW, and he looked like he was going to have a decent run there before he was injured.
Yeah, if nothing else, Marty would have. If nothing else, Marty would have. Yeah,
there's guys who can reform, and I don't think Marty Jannetty would have fit in that IC title picture, particularly in that era when you had Razor Ramon, Shawn Michaels, Goldust.
Yeah, that's true. I could see that. He would have been, if nothing else, a hell of a mechanic. Like he would have been like a Bob Holly kind of guy, where you would have just gotten good matches out of him. And I think that would have been Marty's purpose. He would have just been one of those guys where it's like, you want to test somebody out, put him in the ring with Marty. Just like they used to do with 1, 2, 3 kids.
That I can agree with. And, it's where I also think Marty probably would have fit if he had been able to get a contract with the WWE in 2005 or 2006.
Yeah, you want to put him in there?
He would have been in that spot where, you had Tatanka or Jim Duggan.
Yep.
He would be a legend for the new up-and-coming guys to beat.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. Unfortunately, I mean, you don't have to necessarily. This is the thing with being in this industry. You don't necessarily have to be at the very top. You just have to be in the industry, and then you get your respect and you and earn your dues. There's people there within the industry who never really reached the top, who are still part of the WWE now, or still part of wrestling now. I think of people like Arn Anderson. He never really was a top tier guy, but people know who he is. He's been part of the industry for forever. Shane Helms. He's within the WWE still as a producer now.
Billy Kidman,
Wang Yang. and Jamie
I wouldn't
Noble,
put Arn
all of these
Anderson in that
guys.
same class. I mean, he was literally part of one of the greatest factions in the history of professional
Yes,
wrestling.
but he was not
I would put-
individually a top tier guy.
No,
I'd
he,
put
he didn't. He was every bit the worker that Ric Flair was. He just didn't have the charisma.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'd put guys like Jamie Noble, Shane Helms, and Billy Kidman on like that tier of guys that were like, yeah, they're good hands, but they be set as agents, basically. Guys like that.
yeah. I mean,
AEW's got guys like that now. Jerry Lynn, Dean Malenko.
Yeah.
Oh, Jerry Lynn was awesome. Fuck me, man. It was so good. Anyway,
Yeah, but
So,
WWE was rubbish.
yeah, for sure. But then
Are we gonna get
WWE have known.
Marty's
known
social media activities.
oh,
Yeah,
should
the
we
highlight
go
of the
to-
episode.
Do we go to that now, or do we go to the murdery things, or which?
Let's go to the social media first.
It's social
Yeah.
media. It was social media first, and then the murder.
Yeah.
Okay, so like for him, probably social media was almost like a godsend, because this is an opportunity for him to still keep his name in the spotlight, so to speak. But he did it by coming up with stupid things. Like, before, we have all like the social media stars that we have nowadays who like to say
Ooh.
controversial things. We had Marty Jannetty. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
And Marty was posting overt racism and some of those stuff.
Yeah.
Racism and homophobia.
I remember, I used to follow, I think, Marty on Facebook like back then years ago, and some of the shit that he would say, he would misspell all the time, and it's like, it's hard to tell, is this dude got his head on straight, or what the hell?
The most infamous one, of course, was the one that he doesn't want to take credit for. Supposedly, there was a girl who Jannetty thought was his daughter.
Oh, yeah.
And they'd spent a couple weeks together, and they got a DNA test, and it proved that no, he wasn't the father. And she was like, what, 20 years old? And he had said that we'd refrained from having sex because we didn't know the results of the paternity test. And
Yeah,
I'm not sure now because she been daughter.
Yeah, and then I read like somewhere, I think this could be related to that same post. He was like, we only had sex the one time. And then it was like, well, duh, stupid. It takes one time. Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah,
that just
but
fucked,
again, the whole thing about she been daughter, and that's the one post on Facebook Marty didn't take credit for. He claimed that his account was hacked.
Mhm.
I'm guessing it was probably the same people who used to regularly hack Kurt Angle's account.
Yeah, when he would tell half truths and shit like that, or he would just
when he would go off on people on Twitter and then claim all of a sudden, oh, sorry, I was hacked.
It was hacked.
Which
Yep.
was basically code for I got fucking drunk and can't take accountability for my actions.
Either that or Perk Angle was in full effect.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, that's that's absolutely terrible. And then the racism and stuff like that as well, like it upset me, because all right, fine, you're a fuck up, but Jesus Christ, man, like, you're a fuck up in every department, and a compulsive liar by the sounds of things as well. So I want to feel sympathy for this guy, but it's very hard to. It's very, very hard to. You know what I mean?
I don't.
He makes it difficult.
Yeah.
He makes it fucking difficult.
I don't feel sorry for Marty. I'm like, at this point, dude, I'm throwing my hands up. Whatever happens, happens. Hate to say it, but that's how I feel. I'm like,
when you talk about wrestlers who die young, I mean, it's surprising that he's still around with us, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
Oh well, you know,
but again, it's unfortunate. It's like unfortunately, Danny Doring, I believe, was the one who said it. It's unfortunate that we tend to lose a lot of the really good ones at a young age.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, some people who are utter pricks will just live on. The guys who you would expect to pretty much die of a drug overdose or, from misadventures with alcohol, they're still around. And unfortunately, we lose Chris Candido at such a young age. We lose Eddie Guerrero at 38. We lose Owen Hart.
Yeah, the really good ones.
It fucking sucks.
I still have not gotten over Miss Elizabeth. Granted, I think she was in her 40s when she passed, but I still have not gotten over her. The business didn't deserve her. I don't care what anyone says.
Lance Cade, 29, dude.
Yeah, Lance Cade was one of the good ones too.
Yeah,
29.
Daphne was absolutely tragic
fucked
as
me
well.
up. Yeah, Daphne fucked me up because when you earn the rare compliment, too nice to be in the business, you probably shouldn't be in the business. Like Mick Foley is one of those dudes. I'm amazed that's still here with us
Yeah.
all these years later. I'm like, it's amazing that Mick is still
Well,
here.
yeah, but he was what do you call it? He's not known for like being a junkie or anything like
Yeah,
that.
he's
No,
not known
just-
for extracurricular
No,
activities.
it's incredible he didn't, he didn't go down the route of having a painkiller addiction.
Yep.
Yeah,
Whereas
it's
I
amazing.
mean, you look at the stuff he did and compare it to, say, a guy like Balls Mahoney,
Yep.
where, Balls would have to have a pain pill left out and take it, 30 minutes before he got out of bed. Otherwise, he couldn't move.
Yep.
He was so goddamn immobile. He was so fucked up. I mean, his teeth had all rotted out because of all the stuff he used to do in ECW. Because when he blew the fire, I don't know if you guys remember, Balls used to blow fire out of people, and he didn't
I don't
use
know.
lighter fluid. He used Thompson's water seal.
Mm.
What the fuck?
Yeah, he used Thompson's water seal to blow the fucking fire out, and it sealed his teeth and rotted them out.
Yeah, I know Cheeto 40 is still too young, but I'm saying, like, Miss Elizabeth, yeah, she didn't deserve to go at 40. Like, she was one of those that she should still be here with us years later. She should still be here.
Well, only Lex Luger will know truly what happened. Yeah,
Yep.
Chris
Yep.
Canyon's the one of the ones that upsets me the most. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, again,
fuck.
you can chalk that one up to mental health, unfortunately, with them being massively bipolar.
Yeah, no doubt. But I'm kind of almost happy when I see people like Xavier Woods in the industry, up, down, down, and stuff like that, where wrestlers are nowadays. You still have that wrestling camaraderie. Like, when Bret Hart got attacked, like the entire fucking audience of wrestlers were there to stop it, to beat the shit out of that guy. That
Cash
makes me feel
Wheeler with the
warm.
uppercut.
Yeah, that makes me feel warm and fuzzy inside. But at the same time, like this generation of wrestlers, they're not like the ones from yesteryear. They're not like hardcore drinkers, and their lives are different. They got different distractions now, like social media and video games and stuff like that. And it's probably one of the best things to ever happen to them because they don't necessarily fall off the wagon.
Unless
I'm
Ric
glad
Flair's.
glad that a lot of wrestlers
go
have got another outlet to go to, for a backup of some description, where there's more opportunities for them within the company or out with the company as well. Just to go off topic for a moment, Big E has been recently told, apparently by his doctors, he can never wrestle again.
Yeah, it's over. Yeah.
You take
He's
one
gonna go
more
on to
bump and that's you.
He's going to go on to being a pre-show host on the Peacock or being a commentator.
Yeah,
he's good.
I can see him being a commentator or being a host or doing something for WWE's network.
Yeah, but he will be. He will be the lifer.
I will be glad to never see him back in the ring again because of how fucking nasty that neck injury was. I want that guy to live pain-free for the rest of his life. I do not want him back in the ring getting another bump and potentially crippling himself.
Yeah, because I know a lot of people are like, "Oh yeah, they need to put Big E in there with Goldberg." Goldberg, the same dude that dropped the Undertaker on his head. Are you serious? You don't want.
They could put him in the fucking ring with Bryan Danielson. Bryan Danielson could easily work a match with that guy, to where he takes no fucking bumps at all.
Yep.
And it's safe as hell. I still would not want Big E in the ring.
No, I wouldn't either.
Gary,
I'm like,
sorry, Gary, you awake?
Anyway, physical.
I can hear somebody snoring. Gary, you all right?
I think it's Gary. Gary.
Yo,
Gary.
I think he's out.
I think Gary's asleep.
Yeah, he's out.
Okay.
Anyway, we'll keep going. Yeah.
Okay. Again, let's never see Big E back in the ring again. I want that guy to live pain-free for the rest of his life. It's the same when Adam Cole was out injured, and he mentioned when he came back in his promo, the fact that fans had said, I don't care if Adam Cole ever wrestles again, just as long as he's all right.
Yeah, because with concussion protocol today, I'm like, if it's too severe, you need to be out. You do not need to be in the ring nowadays. Like if it's concussion or neck, I'm like, I don't care if you wrestle again. Your health is, first of all, the most important thing. I mean, there's more to life than, being in the ring, putting your body on for a 30-minute match.
Jerry Lawler's still with us. Yeah. I mean, he had the heart attack and everything, didn't he? So,
he said multiple heart attacks.
Yeah, he's had multiple. He's had at least 2 within 10 years.
Yay, he's undead
But-
like me.
Regarding Biggie, I mean, the guy's got opportunities to like start a YouTube channel and make do alternative things. He's he's sorted in my opinion.
Oh, he'll be WWE.
WWE will look after him. It's not going to be a case like when Jesse Sorensen broke his neck working for TNA, and they said, "Oh, we'll take care of you,
for
going
life."
forward."
Yep.
And then they fucking fired him about a year later.
Yep.
Well,
But yeah, go ahead.
If I was Biggie, just do what Rusev did. Just create a Twitch channel, and let the money just roll in, because he will be without that massive on Twitch TV.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just playing video games. Something he loves doing in the first place. You know what I mean? So
You're co-hosting with Xavier on Up, Down, Down.
he's already doing that, but because they're on the road and stuff like that, he might not necessarily be able to do that in the future. But if he
No,
just
he could do it remotely.
Yeah, you could do it
yeah,
tune in remotely.
yeah. But he could just do his own thing as well. Like I said, if he wants to.
Yeah.
And Biggie could probably still travel. He'd still be an ambassador for the brand. Much like Titus O'Neil is.
Yeah. I'd like to see him in commentary, by the way. I think he can do it for sure. You know what I mean? I think there's definitely a place for him.
I mean, you couldn't get any fucking worse than Booker T.
Yeah. Shucky ducky quack quack. Oh. Unless it's Black Snow. If it's Black Snow, I'm all for it. Yeah, baby, this is Black Snow. I tell you what, yeah. Oh, he hit him with a drop kick right there. Oh,
his commentary on NXT is fucking awful.
Horrible.
But
yeah.
Anyway, as you were just saying, back to
go back to my original point though. Regarding wrestlers of this generation, there is more opportunity than ever. Like, you get your name out there, you get your face out there, and then you've got an opportunity in other social media ventures to remain famous. Like fucking what's his face, Ryback. All he does is just does videos of him eating chicken sandwiches and Big Macs, and
I was gonna say this: the only danger that they'd have to be wary of is hanging out with Ric Flair at a bar, because if they did that, they'd be like telling stories, drinking Jack till like 4 a.m. So just be careful of that. Like, I'd rather you guys go do Up, Down, Down versus hanging out with Ric Flair, listening to him tell his stories all night.
A lot of today's athletes, I think a lot of them are teetotal and all of this. Yeah, they're so different now from
a lot of them are
yesteryear.
like born again or whatever.
Yeah,
but
the
drinking and drug culture is nowhere near what it was back in the day. Because, I mean, again, Kevin Nash has told the story, how he used to take like a bottle of pills, he would shake it, and there would be a Pavlovian response. Everybody would turn, towards the sound of the pill bottle being shaken, back in like the 90s. He did the same thing when he returned, thinking about, what was it, 2000, was it 2011? He returned and had, he returned initially for the feud with CM Punk. He did the same thing again, and not one fucking person turned.
Yeah, they looked at him like, huh? Yeah, dude, we don't do that here.
Yeah, I mean, although Razor, Scott Hall used to fuck with people like that as well, because he's told the story about how I think it was Gorilla Monsoon's daughter had made an earring for him. He made like a razor blade earring with a diamond stud in it, and he would keep it inside a pill bottle. And he shook the pill bottle one day, and Road Dogg turned to him and says, "Brother, I know you're holding," and he opened the pill bottle and showed him that's just an earring.
Good Lord. Yeah, but at least today we don't have to hear about like, oh yeah, like, so and so dead at the age of like 25. I mean, it's very rare when that happens in the business now.
27 different medications in him.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, my advice to Marty Jennetty is get yourself a PlayStation 5. I mean, get yourself Here Comes the Pain on the emulator, or maybe play on your PC instead of a PlayStation 5. Start streaming some video games, and trust me, people will be watching you. Within weeks, you'll get yourself hundreds of viewers because you're fucking Marty Jennetty. Anyway, nevertheless, going from social media onto something which was kind of serious now, and that's apparently him killing somebody who tried to rape him when he was younger.
I remember when this came out on Facebook. Yeah. I remember that. I was like, what the fuck? Like, what did you just say? Like, I remember that. Like, I was like, huh? Marty actually might have committed.
You're fine,
I'm still amazed he's not in jail. I mean,
Yeah.
even though he didn't, even though the police did an investigation and
Yeah.
said that they couldn't link him to any missing persons or any unsolved murders from that time period, I'm still amazed that he was not jailed for wasting police time.
Yeah, because it was kind of like, yeah, I did it, but I didn't do it, but I'm just going to act like I never said that shit. But then I kind of am going to act like I said that shit.
He says that he said it for a wrestling storyline. What fucking wrestling storyline could you possibly do with that kind of story?
Yeah,
what,
okay.
The alleged pedophile's brother is wanting revenge?
Yeah, I don't know. I think Marty was out of his mind. Like, I think Marty was like double, triple out of his mind then when he said that shit. Like,
and Marty's also trying to still paint himself as the victim. He's saying that, like, everybody, when that all came out, everybody was more concerned about the fucking pedophile than they were about me. Well, no, everybody's wondering what the fuck is going on because you literally have confessed to murdering somebody on Facebook.
Yep.
Everybody's thinking of you out of your fucking mind.
This is like that. This is like that Key and Peele sketch when Key and Peele, like, I guess, like, Peele was a rapper and, like, he literally confessed to murder on tape and he's rapping it as he did it. And then he's like,
I saw that sketch.
Crimes.
Yeah.
He was like, he was self-snitching on himself. And I'm like, did this motherfucker just confess to self-snitching on himself that he killed somebody? Like, that's what I first thought when I read that Marty Jennetty post. I'm like, this motherfucker has to be high or drunk or stupid or any combination of the three.
Unfortunately, because of social media and people so desperate, not unfortunately, fortunately, because of social media and people so desperate for fame, they are self-snitching. You know what I mean? They're bragging, and people are filming themselves committing crimes nowadays and posting it on Facebook and Twitter and shit. I mean, that's the world we live in. It's absolutely crazy. But the funny thing is that I genuinely thought that Marty Jennetty was talking out of his ass because throughout this whole episode, he's come across as a compulsive liar. But then the one person who knows him best, that lady, said that her name was Karen, said that was the one thing he wasn't lying about.
But again, she's also said that she was there for Shawn Michaels actually legitimately throwing Marty Jennetty out of a window and Jennetty beating the shit out of him in a corridor. I think she's got a hard time distinguishing the truth as well.
Yep.
Now, the other talking heads that they had, again, the guy from, what was it, Maximum Impact, and who the fuck else was it? Brutus Beefcake.
Yeah.
They've said that, he's told us that story too, and we believe it. Well, so fucking what? You're gullible enough to believe it. That's on you. Al Snow has also said that he told, that Marty told him that story when they were tagging together in the 90s.
Yeah.
But he doesn't believe it because he knows that Marty's full of shit. And hell, even the guys who believe Marty have said in this episode that Marty is full of shit.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, though, like Shredder just said, how the fuck do you not go to jail for wasting police time? How do you not get served with something? I don't understand that.
I mean, I don't understand. It's strange in a way because if he just says that he was just doing wrestling jargon, then in a way the police are wasting their own time for investigating something. I don't know how it's looked upon, like, but I don't know. It's beyond my understanding. But the one thing is that there's no body. So
but he also couldn't keep the story straight of what he did with the body. So in the Facebook post, he
does
said
that mean it's more likely to be a lie then?
In the river. Oh, it's more likely to be a lie because again, he in the Facebook post he basically said that he and a relative dumped the body in a river, whereas he told Al Snow and Mean Mark that he had set fire to the body, he'd taken it into the woods and set fire to it, which. There are still going to be human remains. You don't just set fire to a body and poof turns to ash.
Yeah, and you have to take in consideration. You have to take in consideration DNA technology today is so fucking far more advanced than what it was 30 years ago. Like 30 years ago, they would have been like, "We can't figure this shit out yet." But now they can just exhume you for any fucking thing. Hell, let alone your dental records and find out who you are.
Yeah,
but again, the police investigated it. the police investigated it. They could not link him to any missing persons cases or any unsolved murders at that time.
Yeah.
So the police have basically said, no, the guy is full of shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's dirty feather. Because there is no way in heck that you're going to disappear a body like that completely just by burning it.
Yeah, the level of heat required to turn bones into ash. Yeah, it's quite a lot.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, there'd be
well,
teeth or something left.
Yeah, there's a way you could exhume the body and find out, like, dental records, or take like a scraping or something and find something out with modern technology. There's ways around it.
I'm trying to find out if there was any justification, why he claimed it was a wrestling storyline.
I don't think he said. He was like, "That's about as much as I'm gonna give you."
So there was, I did not murder that man, Jennetty wrote per TMZ. It was just the beginning of a damn wrestling storyline, but oh my god, OMG, didn't the world buy it? Jennetty went on to explain that things got so hot for him that he had to drop the storyline because the Columbus, Georgia Police Department began investigating his claims. I wanted to call the good people at the Columbus Police Department and tell them, nah, don't waste taxpayers' money nor your valuable time. It was just a wrestling storyline, Jennetty said, before claiming he regrets not informing the police of the storyline before taking it public.
Oh my god.
Jennetty said that the culmination
Oh my god,
of the
there's more.
storyline was supposed to end with a wrestling match against a former corrections officer. If Jennetty were to win, then he would get to live out his days as a free man, but if the corrections officer won, he would have to turn himself in to the full authorities.
This is
But sadly now, we'll not get to do that storyline, Jennetty told his Facebook friends.
This is some shit that Vince Russo can't even come up with in his best day. Even he would not be able to figure this one out. Even he could not come up with something this fucking convoluted. And I've seen some of the worst that Vince Russo's ever done.
You look at his booking of TNA and WCW. No fucking way could Russo have ever come up with something this stupid.
Yeah, not this convoluted and stupid. No way. No way possible.
okay, so this was the episode that I think a lot of us were looking forward to. In a way, more than saying that left me underwhelmed, but it was just all right.
It was all right.
And I have to say, this season hasn't been. Sorry, go on.
The biggest letdown in this episode for me personally, again, besides some of the talking heads in it, were probably the recreations of certain scenes. I mean, last week it was fucking ridiculous. The scenes for Bash at the Beach where they were recreating like Hulk Hogan with no arms, congratulating Eric Bischoff on the plane. And we've also pointed out. I think I previously pointed out in the Magnum TA episode how fucking stupid it looked when they had quite clearly a toy remote control car for the scene of the car swerving in the rain. This week, oh my fucking god, they took it to a new level of crap. I think for me personally, the low point was the scene where Jennetty claimed that in school he blew up the chemistry lab.
That looks so stupid.
And the girl went flying backwards. I really don't know. I think it was to set the tone of just how much of a compulsive liar Jennetty is.
Yeah.
And the fact that his friends were even saying he talks so much bullshit.
Yeah, Jennetty's one of those dudes that if you lined him up and be like, tell the truth to save your life, Jennetty would instantly fail that test.
Yeah.
Well, but once again, if he's the type of person to mix chemicals, but the funny thing is, if he is the type of person to mix chemicals, then no wonder he fucked up his entire life. I mean, if he was told not to mix these chemicals by a scientist, and he does, then you see him obviously riding a motorcycle inside a hotel and stuff like that.
But to be honest too, I was going to say, but to be honest too, when you're a kid, nothing makes a kid want to do something more than someone telling you can't do something stupid. But Marty will just do it anyway. Go ahead.
Hang on, right? Just imagine for a moment, these are two chemistry beakers, right? And I've been told do not mix these. And if I mix these, they're going to explode. Now, if I mix these and it's powerful enough to knock the girl who's sitting across the desk 3 feet back from me. How the fuck am I not dead?
Yeah, how are you not dead
fucking
or
she
severely
not dead.
concussed?
Or
Yeah,
yeah, so severely maimed
yeah,
from the explosion, which would be at point blank range for me.
yeah.
Again, if this blast was big enough that it wrecked the chemistry lab and sent the girl who was sitting across the desk flying back 3 feet, how
Yeah,
the
she-
fuck
yeah.
are you not maimed?
Yeah.
Or dead. Yeah, you wouldn't have hands. Just a
Yeah.
little bit of background lore for me. I used to play with, well, not play with, but work with explosives when I was in the Marines. I was an 0351, which is anti-tank assaultman. Also backup combat engineer. Whenever we didn't have those, I was the guy to go in and,
Mm.
blow up obstacles and stuff. And yeah, there's no fucking way. No way in hell that he'd be able to do that and live. If not be permanently crippled and maimed.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
the recreations that Darkseid used to do used to be a goddamn highlight.
Yep.
I
Like
mean,
when-
seasons one, 2, and yeah, throughout season 3.
Yeah, like
They
when
were-
they did the
they were
Montreal
fucking
screw
great.
job. Yeah, when they did the Montreal screw job, they got what looked like Shawn Michaels tights, Bret Hart's gear, and it's like, holy shit, okay, a lot of this is authentic. The guy they got looking like Vince, kind of with
Yeah.
the silhouette, looks like Vince McMahon. And
Yeah,
that
this,
was
this
impressive
year
at the time.
they basically skipped so much in the production budget that really they should have just cut that whole part of the
I thought the
episode
guy looked.
entirely.
I thought the Shawn Michaels guy looked a lot like Shawn Michaels, and look, you remember these are not the actual people, so they can only go so far with who can genuinely, authentically look like these wrestlers,
Right.
No,
physically
but
and facially.
that's one thing though. But you used to get guys who looked like the wrestlers.
Yep.
You know,
And the gear.
I don't-
Depending on the
But
situation.
also again the fact that some of these were just so fucking ridiculous. Again, what was blatantly obviously a remote control car for a scene where Magnum TA's Porsche is skidding in the rain.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or again, the chemistry lab scene in this, it was so goddamn cheesy that it was just it took away from the episode. I wound up having to pause it because I was laughing so hard at it.
Yeah. But here's a take I've got just in general. I think the series has honestly hit its peak because I don't know what more I know there's a lot more you can do, but it's like at this point, at this point, it's kind of like you got to dig a little bit as far as what else you can
gotta
cover.
dig a lot of it.
Look, I'm sure there are stories out there that we are not aware of, but but there's some all 4 seasons. All right, this season not being the best, but the first 3 seasons, there were stories out there I had no idea about. I mean, some of these wrestlers I've heard of, some of these wrestlers I haven't heard of, and it wasn't even just sometimes the wrestlers; it was also to do with the territories as well as certain pay-per-views, which all we got this time around was Bash at the Beach. So there are other things that come into play. I mean, they brought up Owen Hart, and so they could have actually just talked about the pay-per-view that Owen Hart died in instead of Owen Hart himself, but they decided to bring up Owen Hart and not just the pay-per-view that he died on. There's so many different directions that they can go. They could do the SummerSlam one where Ultimate Warrior got fired, when he went backstage, but they've already talked about Ultimate Warrior, so they can't really do that. I mean, I'm not sure if there's any other pay-per-views that are unique enough that warrant their own.
Heroes of Wrestling.
Heroes of Wrestling. Yeah, I was going to bring that up.
Be good.
Yeah, that'd be good. That'd be hilarious.
See, I don't know about that, but I think.
Okay, I'll give you context
territories as well.
Yeah, I'll give you context. Like, okay, basically in '99, I think there was a promoter that are like, you know what? Here's the deal. I'm going to try to do a pay-per-view or whatever to try to be on the same level of fucking Vince McMahon and Eric Bischoff and all that bullshit. And the main event was supposed to be I think Yokozuna versus King Kong Bundy or some such shit like that.
Bloody hell!
And this is when Yoko nearly weighed legit almost 800 pounds.
Yep.
He was really, really heavy. And it was so bad that they had to make it a tag match with a fucked up, drugged up Jake the Snake Roberts that cut a promo talking about, I play blackjack and you're only supposed to use 21, but I play 22 because I cheat. And he was drunk off his ass.
Oh,
and
yeah. He was
he was fondling the snake like it was
Yep.
a dick.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Heroes of Wrestling could
Bloody
easily
hell.
be a Dark Side of the Ring episode.
Well, you got other options. I mean, there was Black Saturday where Vince McMahon took over
Yep.
Florida Championship Wrestling.
Yep.
Well, he took their time slot. You've got that. You've got
Okay.
TNA under Dixie Carter.
Yeah,
You've got
that's
the
it.
Diva
Oh,
Search.
that's
Yeah,
You've
yeah.
got the Iron Sheik. You've got the British Bulldogs. You've got plenty of options still for Dark Side of the Ring.
Well, we
Did they
did
do-
Dynamite Kids. We did Dynamite
Yep.
Kids, so in a way, British Bulldog kind of been done to a degree.
Yeah,
Well, again,
that's like
they've
kinda
done
Fox-ish.
well. Again, they've done Dynamite Kid, but Davey Boy Smith would be a great one.
Yeah, Davey Boy, they haven't done yet. I'd like to see one on Bret Hart's career, actually, of like how it ended, because it's kind of like a dark side, but
Really?
at the,
Hell, you
yeah,
could do one in the whole tragedy of the Hart Foundation. Back
yeah,
then,
you can
know,
do.
out
Yeah,
of
you could
those
do the
5
Hart
guys,
Foundation.
Brett is the only one still alive.
Yeah, you could do the Hart Foundation as the dark side of the ring if you wanted to. I mean, they've touched on Pillman.
It's
They've
funny
touched
though
on
because
Owen.
we've touched on Pillman, we touched on Dynamite, we touched on in a way Dynamite, in a way touched on British Bulldog, and obviously I'm not sure if we touched on Anvil or not, but yeah. I mean, it's funny in a way because so many of these other episodes have happened. If we do something about something else, it connects a lot to the other episodes.
Yeah, we could.
Yeah.
You could easily do a couple on British wrestling. One, the downfall of British wrestling, and two, Jimmy Savile's involvement in British wrestling.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Jimmy Savile, yeah.
Mm.
That would be.
However, that's a very dark topic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, his involvement in British wrestling and the royal family. You know what I mean? Yeah, so yeah. All right, so let's mark this episode, and maybe if you guys are up for it, we should do a season review in the future next week. If you guys are up for it,
Sure,
if
just
not,
let me know.
no
I'd be
problem.
down.
So for now, let's talk about this episode. Let's mark it. I'll go first. I'm going to give this a 6 out of 10. It was slightly above average. Some interesting things. It was always when it comes to certain people about like Marty Jennetty. He's not necessarily Marty Jennetty. You want to find out about. You want to find out about Shawn Michaels as well. The Rockers and some of the famous incidences that he was involved in, and we kind of got that to a degree. And just it was more fascinating just watching him being him when he was talking about the past and thinking to myself, is this real? Is this not real? You know what I mean?
Yep.
So Mike Jennetty as a person was just fascinating to watch, regardless of the history. And we don't necessarily need his accounts. Some of the stuff we can see for ourselves because it was on TV. But yeah, 6 out of 10 for me. Jose?
Yeah, it's going to get a 6. I mean, honestly, this I would go so far as to say is one of the weakest episodes of Dark Side of the Ring I think I've ever seen. I think this is a one-time watch only for me. Like, I'm not going to watch it again. I have no desire to go out of my way to watch it again. I mean, you learned about the Rockers. It's stuff you kind of already knew if you've watched this shit long enough. You got to see the barbershop. The reenactments are, stupid and cheesy, like Shredder said. But overall, it was just an all right episode, but I wouldn't go out of my way to watch it again.
Yeah, Shredder.
Yeah, I'm going to be slightly harsher on this one. I'm going to give this a 5 out of 10. I think this is probably maybe the weakest episode of the season.
Yeah.
The reenactments, again, as I've already stated, were very, very poor. Again, they used to be a highlight of Dark Side of the Ring. They're not now. I don't know what the fuck has gone wrong. The other issue I had was that there's 2 reasons why I would not go back and watch an episode of Dark Side. Either it was phenomenally shit, or obviously the topic was extremely grisly. Like Grizzly
Jake the
Smith.
Snake Roberts. Yeah.
Yep.
But again, the
Grizzly
story of
Smith.
Grizzly Smith. That's one that we basically advised that only watch it if you've got
Once.
the stomach for it, and watch it once. I've not gone back to watch that one. I probably never will. But when it comes to this episode, unfortunately, a lot of the perspectives we got were from either a pathological liar in Marty Jennetty, or people who basically believed a lot of the stuff that he lied about. We didn't get the perspective. I would love to have had the perspective, of an actual police officer in that area. I'd love to have had a police officer interviewed on camera talking about the investigation that Marty Jennetty caused.
Yeah, just so it balances out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I'd
would
love
love
to
to have
hear
seen
some more.
people actually
Yeah.
talk about, actually clarify, correct him when he's absolutely bullshitting people on camera, which is what he did the whole episode.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of, a bunch of talking heads who gave no pushback, or in the case of Brutus Beefcake and his wife, contributed absolutely fucking nothing.
Mhm.
So again, 5 out of 10, probably the weakest episode of the season.
It would be nice if we got Shawn Michaels on this episode. Oh my god,
Not
that
going to
would be
happen. Yeah,
iconic.
anything with WWE,
Yeah,
they're
no.
like, no, we're not doing
Yeah,
that.
Oh yeah, oh, yeah,
do
no
you
doubt.
expect Vice to be bought by Qatari oil interests anytime soon?
I doubt that. Dixie.
With me, I want to say it's a 6 out of 10. Reason being is because a lot of it is like pretty much conjecture and rumor. Also, a bit of inside baseball. It's only like diehard wrestle nerds like us that would even really, find something like this worth watching and picking over.
Yeah, diehard wrestle nerds of yesteryear, like us.
Yeah,
Who
old
know
school
who know the
fans.
history.
Yeah,
Old
exactly.
school fans. Because honestly, there's a whole bunch of people. There's probably a bunch of 20-somethings who have no idea
Oh
who
yeah.
Marty Jennetty is. You know what I mean? Not a fucking clue. So yeah. All right. So slightly above for most of us, a slightly above average episode. Um, they tried to. I think Vice felt that they were leaving the best till last.
Yeah,
Most
this
juicy-
wasn't it. They needed to end with Bash at the Beach 2000.
Well,
That was
Oh,
how
I
it
couldn't
should
wait
have been.
for that one.
Yeah.
don't get me wrong. Both of those episodes, 9 and 10, were probably their best episode. I mean, I was there to say this was their best episode, but when it comes to some of like the more mouth-watering and interesting topics and wrestlers, these were definitely those episodes. I look forward to talking about the entire series in the future and just judging those episodes and our quick opinions on them. I know all of us have lots to say regarding them. We all haven't necessarily been together when reviewing those episodes, so it'll be nice that we do and just give our quick thoughts and opinions on that. And we'll have that scheduled at some point very soon. But yeah, for now, Shredder, Dixie, Jose, anything you would like to add before we end this?
Go ahead and join us Friday because for gaming, we're going to be talking about Modern Warfare 3 coming out and Rockstar being a bunch of fuckheads deciding to release a port of the exact same fucking game that we got 13 years ago, and they're charging $50 fucking for it. That
Oh,
will
and
be an
Xbox
epic
players are
fucking
getting it
ride.
for free.
Yeah, and Xbox players are getting it for free. I can't wait till Friday to talk about this.
Actually, and we're not going to just talk about that as well.
Yeah.
If you guys know about the boating dock incident in Alabama the other
Oh
day,
God, they. Oh yeah,
yeah.
okay, yeah.
we're going to be
Oh, my
talking
God.
about that, as well as, is it Kai Santel, the guy who wanted to give away PlayStations and caused a riot in New
Oh,
York
that
the other
fucking
day?
moron. He's facing more criminal. He's facing more charges than Donald Trump.
Yeah, exactly. So these are the things that have happened in the last 7 days. So we're going to be speaking about the last 7 days and those things.
Oh, and if you can check out the backlash towards XQC for being a content thief.
Oh, wait,
his,
okay,
his
I
style
saw
of
that.
reaction
I
video,
saw that.
This channel. Obviously, I've not taken part in a lot of them, but obviously we've done the fan film reactions. But we typically are discussing what the video is about, and what we're critiquing the video. We're not just making faces or weird noises while the video is playing, and just completely fucking stealing
Yeah, we're
somebody
not
else's
yoinking content.
Yeah, whereas XQC is basically a professional pirate.
Oh my God.
What we do is that we actually critique people's videos, and we also tell you to go to their channel, subscribe to them, and all of that. And we are actually genuinely being critics. Our faces on there. We're talking over the product. So you're not necessarily getting the product on our channel for what it is. You're getting us talking over it. We're not
how often have
pirating
you
it
guys
like that
behind
guy.
the scenes, reached out to these other channels and say, "Hey, we'd love to interview you about this film"?
Yeah.
We've done that a couple of times with some of the people. We have interviewed a few people in the past.
No, but
we've
I'm saying you've interviewed a few people, but again, how often do you guys reach out and say, "Hey, we'd like to interview you if you're interested"?
Yeah.
We should honestly we should do that more often. But yeah, we have done it with people in the past, but we review so many fan films that sometimes it just goes over our head a little bit. But whatever we do is that we never take credit for the fan films they make, because sometimes we're very critical of what we're watching. We're not necessarily praising it. You know,
But I
so
remember the last fan film I
yeah,
remember I jumped on and did a reaction to with you guys was
the
the
Scream,
Hellraiser fan film.
Hellraiser, yeah,
oh
that
yeah,
was
the
a long
Hellraiser,
time
yeah,
Hellraiser
ago.
fan film, which we all fucking enjoyed.
Yeah, we liked
yeah,
it.
yeah. That's
And
with
we
the
reached out.
toenail and stuff. Oh
I
god,
know I reached out. I think Cheeto reached out too. You know, a couple of us reached out and said, "Hey, you know, we really love this fan film. We'd like to interview you for the channel."
Yep.
yeah, yeah. We did that. We did one on Iron Fist and Power Man as well.
Yep.
I think Cheetah said, yeah, he did that. He said Cheetah reached out to those people. So yeah, but yeah, that guy you mentioned earlier, I saw Ethan Klein interviewing him, and he tore him to shreds. Ethan Klein's getting a lot better at that now. By the way, he's when it comes to his debating. So I'll give him credit
Yeah,
for that. But yeah,
it's basically
yeah.
him and Emma Vigland. That's doing doing the great jobs
Emma
of just
Vigland.
tearing fucking people apart in the debates.
Emma Vigland from Sam Cedar.
Yeah, she absolutely tore apart Tim Pool.
Yeah, I
Good.
saw that. Yeah, I saw. I absolutely, yeah. Can't stand Temple. I mean, the day he takes off that
Neither.
beanie. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, fair enough. All right. So, by the way, regarding tomorrow's stream, it might be on Saturday, just so you know, because it is Ginger's, and he might not be able to do it tomorrow. But if he can, if he can't, then it'll be on Saturday. So
Okay.
check out our schedule. Check out our schedule on that. It's called The World's Gone Insane. So look forward to that, as well as various other YouTube videos of various types. We've got reviews coming out of the wazoo at this moment in time on our channel, as well as fan reactions. So check out for that. And thank you very much, fellas, for joining us. Oh, they left a comment offering them to come on and help us promote their next fan film. Well, we
Ooh,
would love to do
nice.
that. We would love to do that. That's for sure. So thank you very much, everyone. We'll see you guys next time for our next video here on YouTube. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe to NerdTube, the greatest YouTube channel you never heard of. Take care. Bye-bye. And may the
Bye-bye.
force be with you.